Coming to you from the family home of Hishaam Mohamed, that passed away suddenly yesterday at the age of 55 of a heart attack. Mr. Mohammed, or Advocate Mohammed rather, was very well known for his advocacy work that he did in communities across the Western Cape. He was very passionate about the law. I'm just briefly going to read to you some of the things he did in his life. He was a very active man and law was his passion. He was the Member of Parliament for Grassy Park. He joined Parliament last year as an ANC MP after the elections. He was a protege of the late Minister of Justice, Dalla Omar. He served as the provincial head of the Department of Justice in the Western Cape for 27 years. He was very passionate also about women getting rights, and especially when it comes to child support and child grants, that they are aware of their rights and that they are able to access those rights. To talk to us a little bit more about their brother and the man he was, is his two brothers, Ashfaq and Salim. Salim, Ashfaq, first of all, our condolences for the passing of your brother. How would you remember him, Salim, if I may start with you?
I would remember him as somebody that really went out of his way to ensure the most vulnerable in society are taken care of at a huge cost to himself often, and in terms of time, in terms of his health, in terms of his time with his family, but his family was so important to him. So those values he brought into his advocacy work as well, and he really changed the face of what a member of parliament should be in a span that's only a year, yet the indelible mark that he has left is clearly being shown by the reaction by all his colleagues in Parliament, where everybody, there is even parliamentarians has been there for very long, that is telling me that they aspire to be the way he was in this year in terms of his advocacy work and his constituency work for the people on the ground.
Thank you very much, Salim. And Ashfaq, if I could ask you, what do you think is your brother's legacy?
Well, one of his legacies is certainly his human rights work over the years. He comes from the school of Dalla Omar and Kada Asmal, who are both massive human rights activists themselves, and comes from his time fighting in the struggle in the 1980s as a high school student and then also going into university. And that inspired him throughout his career in justice and now during his time as an MP. Even during lockdown, he was certainly a man of the people. He was here to serve the community. And during lockdown, even at his age of 55, he's in a vulnerable group, but yet he went out there to the community, serving them, providing food parcels, just initiating contact and trying to provide hope to the most vulnerable in society. And just myself as a sports journalist, he inspired me as well. He told me about his days as a rugby player for Lansdowne as a number 8. And during these times now, the last 2 decades, he was a real advocate for transformation in sport as well, ensuring that equal opportunities are available to all the people of South Africa, and that is one of my inspirations in my work as well.
And Salim, if I could come back to you, what was his dream for his province and his country?
His dream was to attain generation equality, especially for stamping out gender-based violence and femicide. He was a huge advocate for that. He fought tooth and nail. In fact, one of his final projects was to produce a video which was widely available on social media and through his advocacy work, through networks, where he's providing tools for the vulnerable to be able to access justice. And so his key aspect was to transform justice in the country. Like my brother said, he was an advocate of transformation in sport, but it also came into the way justice is dispensed in this country, the way the parliamentarian process of making laws works. the efficiency, effectiveness of the court system, and he's got a proud record of 20 consecutive clean audits in the Department of Justice, and those sort of learnings is being implemented as we speak in various government components, looking at what he has achieved. So his legacy is one that is really to be celebrated.
And maybe just lastly, Ashfaq, from your side, this is a very difficult time. COVID-19 prevents us from being together, but I can see from the amount of people that are here, he was greatly loved and respected. How is the family doing? And just talk to us about his own inner circle, his wife, his children. Are they okay during this time?
Well, to be honest, it's extremely tough. You know, the nature of his passing was so sudden. It wasn't like he was battling with his health and it was a long episode of illness or hospitalization or anything like that. So we're absolutely still in shock. You know, trying to process it, trying to understand why this happened and how this happened. And that's obviously, it's going to take a while. To take weeks, months, years. He just, as Salim said, just left such a massive mark on all of our lives. His wife, his children, his siblings, his 7 siblings. And no, he was, I mean, since my father passed away nearly 20 years ago, he was like a father figure to me, a real big brother. And you know, sometimes as a young man, you're firebrand, and he was always the voice of reason. He was always the calm, cautious one. Always provided great guidance. So, extremely difficult moment.
It's been a very difficult time for the family because we also lost our sister recently, in the 1st of June. And I mean, the whole family relied on Hishaam to get us through that pain. She was only 45 years old, and she succumbed to a long illness. And we all stick together, and Hishaam is the one that in the family that keeps us all together, like Ashfaq said. And now for us to process his loss is going to be extremely difficult, and we need to make our peace with it and stick together as a family. Thanks.
Very, very much, very emotional here today. Hishaam Mohamed, a great man who was well respected and loved by all who knew him, not just those inside his party, those in the justice fraternity, a well respected man who worked for the everyday man and woman on the street to get them access to justice. And as you heard here, he was a leader for the family, but also a leader in his field, and he will be sorely missed by those who loved him and knew him best. Hishaam Mohamed passed away yesterday suddenly at the age of 55.